What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your September 2nd daily creative reading. We're going to dive in. My colleague and I would like to welcome you to this reading. She's so funny. She's been really frisky and sassy this morning. Like, she's got no time for anybody. Do you want to clear the deck, though? How's that? Oh, camera shy. Okay, it's okay. We know, we get it. It's okay, baby. It's like it just occurred to her that it was filming. Here, I'll do this, sweetheart. There you go. How's that? She's so sweet. Okay. So, you are pure joy. So I'll read that. And then with love. We'll read that afterwards. Okay. Dear you, now is one of those times you're being asked to add some distance, take a step back, and do nothing but observe. Don't worry about how long it will take to regroup. Just know it's temporary and actually an opportunity to take a breath, slow down, and look at how far you've come. Decisions for the highest good are made when you have clarity, which comes from being open to information from both the intellect and the intuition. When you step into the role of observer, it's as if you turn on a switch that allows your soul to be an essential part of the information gathering and decision-making process. In this way, you can approach things from a more neutral and non-judgmental place. We know you'll make the right choice. Trust us when we say now is not the time to get too close to the fray. Step back now, you'll be glad you did. Interesting. I'm hearing take a step back to take four forward. Interesting. Step back to step forward. There's the clarity. 10 of Pentacles and the King of Wands. And by the King of Wands, I mean the King of Swords. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for September 2nd, please? This Friday, leading us into the weekend. King of Swords. Oh, so really important. Clarity is kind of an important thing. Spirit would like you to know, just an FYI. King of Swords, Temperance. Beautiful. Clarity, balance. It really is step. I'm going to write that down because it's, I don't know. I'm like good at things, but I have moments where I'm like Dory and it's like one swim around the bowl and everything's new, which is very exciting and thrilling. But when it comes to titles, I just want to get this. And the pen ran out. Oh, Spirit's funny today. Yeah. Fabulous. All right. Spirit, what messages? Whoa, a couple. Oh, the 10 of Cups. It keeps coming out. It keeps coming out. Maybe this is like you're getting clarity on your happiness and not just like this would thrill me, but this is like the kind of happiness that is like a building fulfillment. A crescendo, if you will. No, but it's less of a crescendo and I think more of like a continuation, right? Like, how are you punctuating the song that your heart wants to sing with another person or people or in places? Like, how are you punctuating that? Interesting. Because I think of different, things that you can use in music, the symbols in the, oh my gosh, in the sheet music, the words specifically are escaping me, which annoys me. So forgive me if I seem frustrated, but it's like, that's like the musical punctuation of things, like the clefs and the bars. It's like, how are you punctuating that song? And have you made something completely silent? Like, have you silenced by removing specific things that would otherwise add instruments that you want? Or instruments just meaning like aspects of your soul song. This is all coming through very intuitively, very interesting. And I almost feel like this is like the conductors. Like the 8 of Wands is like forward movement. It could be travel, communication, but it's almost like I almost see this as like one wand, but in slow motion, like the way you would if a light painting at night, right? If you Google it, light painting, there's some beautiful images that come up. People have done fantastic things, but I almost see like your night painting. That's something else I'm going to write down. Or light painting. Sorry, light painting. but it's like the way the light is moving through, it's almost like you're conducting, like you're conducting, and that's what the Eight of Wands is coming through as here, is like conducting forward. But again, step forward, step back to step forward, and not just like one or two steps forward. It's like a tiny leap, a tiny leap. Spirit, what additional messages do you have for my creative collective, please? Thing that could become a tower if it goes unchecked. Some heartbreak. But I don't feel like it's heartbreak that's like long lasting. I feel like this is more stuff that like you held. Maybe the way I'm seeing this is like clothes on a line to dry, right? Because it's attached to the tree, and it's like you were trying to do this makeshift way of like wringing out and drying something that just got drenched, possibly from tears. But I'm also seeing it as like a baptism from within, right? Tears do that for us. And I feel a lot like this is you. I think it's almost like if the clothes stay on the line to dry for too long, what ends up happening is, it's kind of like it never dries out. So it just stays in this like static place. I think that's what could become a tower about it, is like eventually you have to bring the things in from the line that we're drying, right? You have to bring them in and not necessarily like draw them in. It's not just about the magnetics of it. It's about something deeper than that. The star as your protagonist, healing, hope. Wow. I think the antagonist position here in the Fool, it's not that, I think that it's leaping too quickly on the one hand, but I also think that when we leap too quickly, are we doing it out of impulse and fear, or are we doing it out of, yes, this is what I need to do? And that's going to look different for everybody, right? Like if you have trauma, or if you have experienced trauma and it's something like CPTSD, and it doesn't necessarily, like, it's sometimes you have like moments where you're like, okay, I just need to transmute this and work through it. How you know to take the leap will be different. It will look different. So I think it's about respecting that too, and not seeing it as like a one size fits all, proposition towards leaping and towards taking advantage of opportunities, right? Like I feel a bit like it's, I think that it's about looking at, I see this as almost like beacons, right? You can have this beacon of hope, you can have a beacon of healing, but then you can also have this knowing as well. And it's like, which one, like they're both part of the same process. So it's not separating them and splitting them. And I think that the reason why this is here as a tower is, or could become a tower if it goes unchecked, is the fact that it's, with this energy, you split yourself. That's really what I'm seeing. It's like you split yourself. I'm seeing now like clothes on a line to dry that have stayed a season. So putting out clothes right now in August, for example, I'm in Southern Ontario, so in Canada. So you put it out to dry and then you just leave it until November. It's going to be hard, weathered, like it's going to be all of these different things that you never may have intended. But it's like you need to remember to bring that part of your healing back in from the line upon which you left it to dry, if that makes sense. Judgment card. So I feel like this is kind of a big decision. The challenge is not just making a choice, but I feel like it's knowing what to choose that's in alignment with your highest good. I see this too. The Judgment card to me can mean something to do with past lives and just the way that time sort of weaves in through and around us always. So there's not so much, I feel like sometimes we can mistake consistency when it comes to time. We can mistake consistency for stability. within ourselves, right? Like the things that are around us on a consistent basis don't necessarily mean stability. They just mean that we're accustomed to them, right? And that's maybe where the overcoming of this in the energy here, where it's like you're conducting things now differently. You're in the conducting position, right? You're guiding the music and allowing it to flow. And I think this Judgment card is telling me a lot about a clearing. Like it's like a clearing, because it is Pluto energy. So what this tells me, the kind of clearing is, it's like there's a transformative aspect to it, but it's not a tower. You're not bringing a tower down. This is almost like listening to the voice inside of you. I don't want to say for the first time, but in this way, to it, listening to it in terms of its song. Like, what song is it singing? What song is it singing for you, to you? What is it whispering, right? And I think that that's helping you to dream something more for yourself, because that's showing up here in the overcoming position. It's showing up in the overcoming position. So the Queen of Cups is the lessons you're kind of taking with you on the journey back home on this hero's journey spread. And I'm feeling a lot like I almost feel like there's this maturity, like this maturation. The Judgment is a major arcana, so technically if we're thinking of maturity, it can mean mature as is, but I almost feel like this is the process that is allowing you to get in touch with this Queen of Cups, this depth of emotion. Like, what waves appeal to you? What waves appeal to you? That's what I'm seeing, this watery energy, and waves representing intuition, emotion. What waves appeal, and why do you want to ride specific ones? Why do you want to, what makes it thrilling? And I think it's about not figuring out, because we don't want to, transformation on the bottom, because I'm going to put that here, because we don't want to get into a place of feeling like we're just chasing waves, right? That's not the point. The point is to love being in the ocean itself. The point is to adore being on the ocean itself. Death and rebirth. What have you? 8 of Pentacles. It could be that there was this again, it's like consistency and stability. And I think that that's something that you're transforming within yourself, even how you show up. What does consistency mean to you? What does stability mean to you, right? The 4 of Wands isn't here, but I feel like it's been prominent this week. But I feel like that's kind of what you're transforming here. It's like, and transmuting perhaps as well. Not the inconsistencies, because we don't want to start from the negative register of things. But I'm feeling like this is, I'm feeling like this is about this, what clarity comes when you stand outside of what's happening around you and ask questions of consistency and stability, right? And it's not about like doing the hard work, because it's, work is work. And I think that the 8 of Pentacles more of investing heavily in something. And I think that if you invest heavily in your transformation at this time, however that looks and whatever that means for you, I think that it is going to be a very good idea. Not just an idea, but a good praxis. Because, the King of Swords is showing up because there's a certain clarity that you have. And I feel like this clarity can only expand given the cards that are informing this call to adventure, really. So I feel a bit like that's what you invest your time in right now. 9 of Pentacles on the bottom. What you invest your time in right now is important. And I think it's important to invest it in yourself, not to the detriment of things in your life, but asking yourself questions that don't just bring clarity, but that help you to redefine the line that you might have drawn in the sand between consistency and stability, and what those things mean for you and how you've shown up, right? Because it's always so easy to point outwards and to get others to take account before we take account of ourselves and where we are, right? If there are things that are a mess, they got to be cleaned up. But by avoiding that isn't going to help anybody, right? Avoiding that isn't going to be of service to anyone. So we have the Judgment card and the 3 of Wands. Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective, please? Messages from my creative collective. Knight of Swords. Yeah. I think it's like, I almost see the Knight of Swords as like this sort of youthful sense of play in forward movement. Because there's a lot of heavy energies here with the Judgment card and that sort of transformation process. And, you know, also in the mix as well is this heavy investment energy, which the Eight of Pentacles is like really working hard. It's working very hard at what you do and also at what you want. You know, it's like mastering a skill. So I almost feel like this Knight of Swords is the momentum forward of like a more lighthearted approach. Like the King of Swords has like seen some shit, right? So by that point in the court journey of the swords, there's a great deal of clarity. And I think this is not exploratory. I think it's more, figuring out what makes the movement towards so important, what makes the motion so important. And, you know, clarifying the Three of Wands tells me that there's a lot of passion here on the one hand, yes, but there's also a lot of, I think that's like a transformative passion. It's a transformative why, right? So it's like stepping back to step forward. So what, Spirit, can you clarify this Temperance card and the Three of Swords, please? Temperance and the Three of Swords, please, and thank you. Page of Wands, yeah, that's I feel like it's almost like Benjamin Button, like we're aging in reverse here, which is super interesting to me. It's quite interesting. Ten of Cups, Eight of Wands, the Star. Ten of Cups, Eight of Wands, the Star. Spirit, can you clarify these for me, please? Four of Pentacles. Interesting. Yeah, you really can't hold back right now. That's the holding back. Look at that. The Devil was on the bottom here, and I feel like this is like the story of why you need to hold back. Like, you know, I almost see it as like these are in reverse to the extent that they are the stories. I'm going to take the Devil out here too. To the extent that they are the stories you've been told about why this song shouldn't be sung, can't be sung, or can't be sung by you. It's like these ego stories, right? The Queen of Wands, too much passion, too much in general. You know, sometimes people mistake passion for like, it's like being dramatic and like being extra, and that's okay. That's an okay energy to be in certain circumstances because it's like expressing your fullness, right? My friend, someone told her she was too much, and this is my Aries friends. And so she sent me this video. I think it was on TikTok or whatever, but maybe Instagram. But it was somebody singing like, if I'm too much, then go find less, right? But it was just like, it's that idea, right? Like, if I'm too much, then go find less. Like, because it's not like, what are you going to do? Change yourself to fit these molds? Like, there's something, you know, there's a Maya Angelou quote too that's like talking about the song or story inside of you. Like, don't let that die within you. Right? Don't let that die within you. And I don't think you are, but I think that there's just some hesitation. The Four of Pentacles is showing up as like hesitation to let this star loose, And I feel like this Queen of Wands is showing up as this depth of passion. It's a depth of passion. I don't know why. I mean, you know, we can be afraid of nurturing our passion because we've been told stories about how it can show up in this, how it can show up in a really negative way. And it's not about this Knight of Wands energy either in the way that it shows up. The way it's coming across right now is the stories that we've told about what of our passion do we listen to and let guide us. And I feel like then the Daughter of Cups, the Page of Cups, is showing up here in terms of this, like, don't get too excited about things. Keep the way that it lights you up hidden. Like, you know, maybe it's a reflection that you see, but don't wear it. Don't be in that energy. You know, hide your passion for something, because then it's almost like, I'm hearing dandelion effect. I don't even know if that's the right phrase for it, but they talk about, I can't remember what book I read this in, but it was talking about how when you get excited about something or for something, what can happen is you can start to, like, it's like and this, you experience this in kind of this, I'm thinking about this more in like elementary school contexts, not necessarily adult contexts, but this, so it could be referential to Pluto in terms of inner child. But where if you stand out too much, you get cut first, right? Like that's the lawn mowing and things like that. Like you get cut first. So we hide these parts of ourselves that stand out or that, are too much, but like you need to let that flag fly. Like you need to be yourself. Because I feel like that song, it's not about what other people will think. It's about how much discomfort are you willing to hold within you, right? Because when you put things out to dry, when you wring it out and you're like, okay, that's the thing, and then you leave it out to dry, if you leave it out for too long, it becomes this 3 of Wands where it's like it freezes, like it gets hard and stiff and it's weathered and it loses all the color and the richness in the clothing, right? Like thinking about the clothes on the line with this one, right? So it's like you lose the song of it. You lose the song. And you lose yourself because you are that. There's like a song your soul is trying to sing right now. Or has sung. And again, it's not for other people. It's the discomfort that you feel by knowing that you can be in this momentum energy, knowing that you can be singing this, but refusing to take that leap. And that's where this antagonist position comes in, I think. The 9 of Pentacles isn't just about confidence. Look at that, Ace of Pentacles on the bottom. The 9 of Pentacles isn't just about confidence, okay? The 9 of Pentacles, in the way that I'm seeing it here, it's also, honestly, like, it's also about how willing you are to see value in what you are, expressing itself in the world, and being known in the world. 9 of Cups on the bottom. Whoa, that was wild. The 10 of Cups, and then the 9 of Cups, and the 2 of Pentacles came out. Maybe you feel like you're juggling between, wow, okay, that's a lot. But maybe you feel like you're juggling these aspects. Like the Fool, I think about it as like the juggler, right? Like the sort of performer at the circus, and like you're performing in someone else's show, and but yet you want to be doing that on your own. So this is, I think, kind of a break from that, and recognizing at the heart what you're made of. And, this is I think about this as the heartwood. This is the part of the tree that's the most alive. The rings around it are, I think, the sapwood. I'm getting the two possibly mixed up, but I know that in the middle is where the tree is growing the most. So you've had a lot of experience. This tells me you've had much experience. And I think it's about prioritizing something inside of you that a thick trunk may not make obvious, but that you've been balancing for a really long time. Those are a lot of rings. And I think this is the Spirit's way of saying it's time. It's time to start. It's time to begin. Yes, it's a Mercury retrograde shadow. However, we can start on paper. We can start with ideas. We can start in the realm of formulating plans. You may not want to act upon them if you're of the belief that Mercury retrogrades are a time to not do that, which is okay. But I feel a lot like this is like the 10 of Cups showing up twice, like 10 of Cups, 9 of Cups, the Sun. I feel like this goes beyond what you might have expected. This goes beyond what you might have thought possible, right? Because the Cups are about, at once they're about, emotional fulfillment, but they're also about emotional fulfillment and possibility. What have you allowed yourself to dream? What have you allowed yourself to want, to have, to believe in, to believe is possible, right? We think about swords as perception and imagination, yes, but I feel like the wands and the cups are such an important part of that process too. And you have the fire of the sun, like the sun is shining on whatever this idea is, whatever this new beginning is. And I think it is more than okay to question yourself, right? It's more than okay to do that, but don't question who you are. Question circumstances, how you can do, question behaviors, question specific templating and programming, but don't question you. Don't question who you are. All right. Let's pull from the notes from the universe on love and connection here. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for September 2nd, please? Love doesn't have to mean near. And that's where maybe taking a step back and then forward, right? And this, I think this is what I'm seeing here is like we believe that love is being right up close. Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it is. And sometimes it's about taking that step back and understanding that the way that we conceptualize distance isn't just about space. It's also about time, right? That idea of time being funny in here too is coming through again. Love doesn't have to mean near. We don't have to be right up close in something in order to Sometimes we can take a step back from it, be it an idea, specific relationships. Like if you're in a place where you need space though, do communicate that, and don't do it from I don't want to tell you what to do, because I know I don't like that, but do it from a place of saying, I need some time to heal. It's not, and don't be like, it's not you, it's me, because that is like such an anxiety trigger for so many. But it's also understanding that healthy boundaries too. This is like, love doesn't have to mean near. Like, we confuse walls and boundaries so often and say, you're not getting in, you're not getting in, you're not getting in. And instead of saying it in that energy or seeing boundaries in that energy, understand that boundaries, generally speaking, are there because somebody wants to continue in some kind of connection or relationship with you. Unless it's like very clear boundaries where they're like, don't come around these parts anymore. Like that's different. But I've experienced it where when people set boundaries, it's actually because, in friendships or otherwise, it's not a bad thing. It's just them saying, I really want to continue in this connection, and I need you to understand what's important to me so that we can kind of manage this, because this didn't feel okay and I want to feel okay with you. I want to feel okay in this connection. And that's what that is, right? So it's understanding that if you have triggers or whatnot, if you, what's the word? It's if you have an insecure attachment style, that can feel really anxiety making and causing, like you may feel like that causes anxiety, but what it's doing is just, it's reflecting back a specific spot that just needs more work. That's all, right? So Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective, please, for September 2nd? See me in their eyes. I think this is immediately coming across as like conversations with your higher self, right? Conversations with your higher self and with the higher self of others, right? So, Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective, please, to close out this reading? Affirmations, some miracle thinking. I surrender my desires, and I know the universe has my back. Yeah. In order to awaken the world to the light, I must not be afraid to shine. Not be afraid to shine. And I feel like that kind of has a lot to do with being the conductor, right? Because that's like Leo, 5th house energy. It's like being seen. That's the sun, right? When the sun shines, it shines a light on so many different things. So many more things become apparent, and sometimes you have to, this is about standing out a little bit too, right? Sometimes you have to stand out in order to, and that's like, it's this weird thing that I've noticed that the more that you stand out is the more that you fit in, because you're making space for yourself as opposed to just expecting it to be there and relying on these defaults of, I will fit into this role and this one. You sometimes just have to make space for yourself, right? So I think that's really important here. So with love on the back here. Dear you, check in occasionally with yourself about your motives behind actions you plan on taking, especially when you have an end game in mind. This is a lot about expectations, right? Releasing expectations. Is the source of your motivation desire or entitlement? Maybe you're drawn to a certain path because you think it will bring you a feeling related to the outcome you seek, like safety or wholeness. Know that you will see a reflection in the outer world of the motive that drives you forward. Do you need a motive? Can you simply be pulled in the direction your soul calls you, toward joy, discovery, growth, or adventure, participating in something compelling and meaningful without trying to define it? If you can step forward surrendered to whatever spirit has in store for you, you will be amazed at how things turn out. Check your motives, then hand them over to spirit. Everybody here wants the best for you. Life loves you more than you know. Yeah. So it's like, it's understanding that if we approach situations, so like in order to awaken the world to the light, I must not be afraid to shine. If you're shining from a place of like, everyone look at me, that's a motive, because you're not doing it because it's who you are, right? Like with this channel, a lot of, when I first started up, and I'm still kind of it's very much in its infancy still, and I recognize that there's a long game here, but there were ways that I was like, well, where would I fit? Like, how would I fit? And the point isn't to look for where you fit. The point is to look for where you can most be yourself within you. And that becomes the place that you fit, because you make space, right? You make space. And that's what this is really about, I think. So yeah, that's lovely. This is your daily reading, my friends. That is it. That's it. That's all. If this resonated, do give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel if you're not here already. If you are, though, joining from my subscriber base, thank you so much. I really appreciate that you're here, so thank you for that. And as always, wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope it finds you very well, my friends. Take care.